How we doing? How we doing? How we doing, folks? Just right here on Saturday, right before Easter, right before Christ resurrected on the third day, as we profess in the Nicene Creed. The Nicene Creed was the Council of Nicene. We also have the Athanasius Creed and the Apostles' Creed. So anything from the apostles, you're going to have truth. You're going to have truth. So they were, of course, like for me, for instance, I was taught martial arts of Shuryu, which is SHURI-RYU, which is Okinawan, and it's eclectic. It's an eclectic art with Shotokan, Goju-ryu, Shotokan. And it has a lot of animals in it, and and it's also Xiangjin. So you have fierce striking. You gotta come in, bah. We got So anyways, Robert E. Trias is the founder of karate, of U.S. karate. He in Phoenix, Arizona, was the very first karate dojo, here in the United States of America. And I was taught by a direct disciple or direct student of his, which was Margot Mejia. Rest in peace, that he died in a car crash. But anyways, just like that. So the apostles were right under Jesus Christ. Right under Christ. So they were taught, like I was taught the truth. I know what the truth is in Shuryu, the karas, the forms, the eppans, the tanzas and such. So, so I know this. This is within. But so the apostles with the Didache, they had the very first church manual. And that was taught from Christ. Christ taught this orally. So in 2 Thessalonians 2:15, is the deposit of faith in the original authentic church that Christ founded and instituted, which replaces and which fulfills and completes the Jewish religion, because it's very Jewish. It's very Jewish. You have 7-day circumcision. In the Jewish and in the New Testament, you have infant baptism. You have sacrificing of bulls to a priest, the Levite priest in the Old Testament, Leviticus 19, and in John 20, in the Gospel of John, you have priests forgiving and retaining sins. Through a priest, through the priesthood, through apostles, through people that are here to in the apostolic succession in the New Testament. You have in the Old Testament, the right-hand man had the keys to the king. The person second down had the keys. In Matthew 16:18, in the New Testament, you have Peter, the right-hand man of God, the chief apostle, who was mentioned, 150 times, in early manuscripts, more than Paul. People say that Paul was ahead, but no, it was Peter. Peter was, he was a pope. He was the head chief apostle, and he was he was ordained a priest. So anyways, we get Christ. We get Christ here. So Christ taught that, and in 2 Thessalonians 2, it says that Paul tells us to hold strong to the traditions that were taught to you orally and written. So that's the deposit of the faith. That's the deposit of the faith in the church that Christ found in Jerusalem and the Holy Land. Not on 13th Street in Williams, or not on Broadway and 54th or anything like that. So we get that truth. So that's facts. Those are facts. Those are undebatable. But St. Augustine said, I love St. Augustine, he said, hey, the truth is like a lion. All you got to do is release it, and it'll defend its own self. But hey, so we get the apostles. God reveals Himself through the patriarchs and the prophets. God reveals Himself through time. He does this. It was clear that Christ would be born, that a Messiah was going to be born, and which would be a descendant of Eve. Descendant through Eve, which through the Davidic line would be through the Davidic line, lineage of David. The son of David would be. From Judah. The tribe of Judah. And they're like, hey, the true Messiah is not supposed to come from the tribe of Judah, but it did. It came from Judah. And Christ would destroy, this Messiah would destroy death. Death from the devil would crush the devil. It'd be finished. It is finished. But, what started in the garden, ended in the garden. The descendant of Adam and Eve is where Christ finally pops up. The new Adam through the lineage of Seth. But with a new Adam, we've got this new Adam, the one who in the beginning tried to flee the garden. Well, now we have Christ starting and finishing in the garden. And, what happened on the cross was to be divine. Christ could have came down from the cross any moment. There's 14 stations in the cross that there are today in this original church, in this Western, Eastern, Northern, and Southern church. But, we get this, these four, and Christ ended in he was on he could have came down any time, but He remained hung on the cross.